The morning sun barely touched the tarmac at Fort Bragg when Colonel Marcus Webb spotted the old man standing near the Apache helicopter display. The veteran looked to be in his 70s, wearing a faded army jacket covered in patches. His weathered hands clasped behind his back as he studied the attack helicopter with an intensity that seemed almost reverent. Webb smirked, nudging the young captains beside him. This was going to be entertaining. He'd been looking for a way to impress the new officers with his authority, and here was the perfect opportunity. Now, before we continue, I want to know, where are you watching this from? Drop your country in the comments right now. I love seeing our global community come together for these powerful stories. And trust me, what happens next will leave you speechless. Hey, old-timer! Webb called out, his voice dripping with mockery. You look like you know your way around these birds. Why don't you climb in and show us how it's done? I'm sure nothing's changed since you flew your little Huey back in Vietnam. The captains chuckled nervously, unsure whether to join in. The old man turned slowly, his pale blue eyes meeting Webb's with an unreadable expression. He didn't speak, just studied the colonel with the same intensity he'd given the helicopter. What's wrong? Need help getting up there? Webb continued, his confidence growing. Or maybe you need to find your walker first? More laughter from the assembled officers. The colonel was on a roll now, feeding off their attention. I'll tell you what. You get that Apache off the ground, and I'll personally write you a recommendation letter to rejoin the service. How's that sound? The old man's lips curved into the slightest smile. You sure about that, son? Oh, I'm sure. In fact, I'll put my rank on it. You fly that bird, and I'll resign my commission right here, right now. Webb crossed his arms, practically glowing with smugness. But when you can't even start the engines, you clear out and stop wasting everyone's time? The veteran nodded slowly, then walked toward the Apache with a steady gait that betrayed no hesitation. Webb's smile faltered slightly as the man climbed into the cockpit with surprising agility, his movements practiced and precise. The old man's hands moved across the controls like he was greeting old friends. Within seconds, the turbines began to whine. Webb's face went pale. Wait, that's not supposed to be fueled, and right here, I need you to pause and imagine what's about to happen. Do you think this old veteran is about to shock everyone? Drop your prediction in the comments. Because what comes next is absolutely legendary. The Apache lifted off smoothly, rising 20 feet, then 50. Then executing a perfect barrel roll that made every officer on the ground step back in awe. The helicopter danced through the air, performing maneuvers that Webb had only seen in training videos from the Army's top pilots. A combat turn, a nose-down acceleration, a hovering pirouette that defied physics. The old man was flying the Apache like it was an extension of his own body when the helicopter touched down 5 minutes later. Perfect and gentle, the base loudspeakers crackled to life. Colonel Webb, report to the command center immediately. General Hartman is on the line. The old man climbed out of the cockpit, removing his jacket to reveal a t-shirt underneath. No longer hidden, his dog tags caught the sunlight. Webb's eyes widened as he read them. Then the base commander came running across the tarmac, his face a mixture of horror and disbelief. Colonel Webb, do you have any idea who you just mocked? The commander's voice shook with barely controlled fury. That's Chief Warrant Officer 5 Michael Chun, retired. He's the most decorated Apache pilot in Army history. 4,000 combat hours. He literally wrote the manual you studied at West Point. He was here today as a guest speaker for the Aviation Corps' anniversary celebration. Webb felt his world crumbling. Michael Chun, the ghost of Baghdad. The man who'd saved an entire battalion with a single helicopter during the Iraq War. The legend who trained 3 generations of Army pilots. Chun walked up to Webb, his expression calm, but his eyes hard as steel. You made a deal, Colonel. You put your rank on it. He paused, letting the weight of those words settle. But I'm not going to take it. You know why? Because men like you, men who mock those who served before them, men who use their authority to humiliate instead of inspire, they destroy themselves eventually. You don't need my help. He turned to the young captains, his voice carrying across the tarmac. Learn from this moment. Respect isn't about age or appearance. It's about character and service. Every veteran you meet carries stories you can't imagine and sacrifices you'll never understand. The moment you forget, that is, the moment you become unworthy of wearing that uniform. Webb stood frozen, unable to speak. Within a week, his resignation letter was on the general's desk. Not because Chen demanded it, but because every officer at Fort Bragg now knew what he'd done. The man who'd mocked a legend. The colonel who'd forgotten what service truly meant. If this story moved you, if it reminded you to never judge someone by their appearance or age, I need you to hit that subscribe button right now. Share this with someone who needs to remember that respect is earned through character, not demanded through rank. Stories like Michael Chun's deserve to inspire every generation to honor those who came before. Together we keep these powerful lessons alive. I'll see you in the next one.